In this video, we're going to talk about simplifying fractions to their lowest terms, also called simplifying fractions, reducing fractions. The reason we do this is, as I've been saying, fractions are equivalent to one another. So an example of a fraction, 74/148, that is really ugly to look at. I can't envision what that means, but once you realize that this is actually equivalent to 1/2. 1/2 is a lot easier for us to process because 74 divided by 74 is 1, 148 divided by 74 is 2. So 74/148 is equivalent to 1/2. 1/2 is 74/148 in its lowest terms. I can't make this fraction any simpler. The reason that is, I can't divide the top and the bottom by anything more than 1 now. And when I say that, you're like, oh, well, you can divide the bottom by 2, but if I can't divide the top by 2, that's no good. And remember, a fraction has to be a whole number, so we can't split this 1 in half or anything like that. So let's try this with the example we have here, right? 3/9 in lowest terms. Again, as I said earlier, if you are not someone who's familiar with your multiplication tables, your multiples, this is the time to learn them because it'll make it a lot easier. There's several ways you can do finding lowest terms in several steps. This one you can't because it's so close to being in lowest terms already. Hopefully you can look at this, and the key way to do it is to find the greatest common factor, words we haven't used in a long time, between both 3 and 9. Just a quick refresher, a common factor is things that it's factors. Remember factor rainbows? Factor rainbow for 3, 1 and 3, that's it. Factor rainbow for 9, 1 times 9, 2 doesn't work, 3 times itself. So we notice that 9 and 3 share the greatest common factor of 3. I don't need to do this process. I can look at 3 and 9, and I know both those numbers can be divided by 3. So I would just go divided by 3, divided by 3. My answer is obviously 1/3. And because there's a 1 in it, it's really obvious that that's as small as it can get. My answer is 1/3. So with this example, I was just saying the thing to do is to find the greatest common factor. In reality, whenever I've done this type of question, if I notice they're both even, I start by just dividing by 2. If you don't get to the lowest terms in the first step, that's not a big deal. It's still, for me, that's easiest. So I can see I can divide both 16 and 20 by 2. So now 16 divided by 2 is 8, and 20 divided by 2 is 10. I notice, you know what? I can still divide both 8 and 10 by 2, so I'm going to do it again. Divided by 2, divided by 2, 8 divided by 2 is 4, 10 divided by 2 is 5. So these three fractions are all equivalent to each other. We're just reducing it sort of slowly. I look at 4 and 5. I don't think there's anything that both of those can be divided by. They can't. 4 can be divided by 2, but 5 can't. And 5 can only be divided by 5. So this is the lowest terms for 16/20. If I went ahead and said, okay, let's do factor rainbows, 16, 1 and 16, 2 and 8, 4 and itself, and 20, 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 3 nothing, 4 and 5. I could have more quickly, I don't know if that's quickly, this way up here is how I've always done it. But if you really like factor rainbows, you might want to notice, oh yeah, look, I can divide them both by 4. So then I could have gone 16 over 20 divided by 4 equals 16 divided by 4 is 4, 20 divided by 4 is 5. I still end up with the same answer. Up to you which way you like better in order to get there. Okay, good luck.